Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. There really hasn't been that much news, so we have one piece of news and then a lot of the rest of the video is just going to be reminders about sort of where we're at with regards to the next upcoming releases. So the news is twofold about the upcoming novel, Bending Academy. Here I have a screenshot from a few days ago, which was the initial piece of news that the release date on this book has changed. It was previously July 1st, but you can see here on Edelweiss it was changed to the 2nd of September 2025. Still no additional information on this book, and we've known about it for a few months now. I think it was October when we first got this book revealed, and now it's getting pushed back a bit, as you can see. The news update on this is that if you go through the Avatar listing on Edelweiss, you'll notice it isn't there anymore. So you can see here, this is in publication order, so it should slot in somewhere, yeah, it should be like just here if it's coming out on September 2nd, but it's not listed. Previously, even though it was missing, it was actually listed as part of this, the Penguin Random House books, the display, but now it's been actually taken out of this. There's no placeholder for this book, and it's not even one of the 5 related products, as you can see here. So they seem to have taken down the listing in full overall, obviously to coincide with some sort of a delay overall, because this thing is meant to be, you know, part of the whole situation. Like if we open up the information on this, that where does it say here? Yeah, for Avatar in summer 2025, we have a little golden book, a screen comics, a how to draw book, and a chapter book. That was their big marketing thing that Penguin Random House was planning to do. They obviously can't really do that anymore with this kind of one of those books gone, so you can see they've sort of changed it. Notably also as well, the another little golden book hasn't been announced yet, so we're still waiting to see what's going on there. But the significance, of course, behind this is obviously that, hey, this book was always a weird one because it's the outside of the RPG books, it's the first like proper new story content book that actually mentions Avatar Legends. And we know that like the social medias, it seems like, are beginning to change over to Avatar Legends. This is what the franchise is going to be called, I guess. So it always felt sort of significant that, oh, hey, like one of the publishers that usually would just have everything ATLA is now using Avatar Legends for this book. And again, the description for this book is that it's new characters. Like, we don't know what era it's set in. I'm going to guess it probably is the Aang era, but it was focused on kids going to a school in the Earth Kingdom. So, a Bending Academy in the Earth Kingdom. So that's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if this is just a case of they put this up too early. This listing just went up full on too early. Because I think the most important thing to note in all of this is Edelweiss was the only place on like the entire internet that had any information about this book. Usually when a book gets announced on Edelweiss, other places tend to follow suit and it will be listed somewhere. Barnes & Nobles will eventually put it up. You'll find it somewhere. The Penguin Random House website should have it. This never actually went up there, which to me feels like it was just one of these unfortunate situations where they just pushed some information live too early, and I guess maybe only caught that this was the case a little bit later. Interesting though that the release date on the book did change prior to them taking it down, which was just kind of an interesting point. So I'm wondering, is September actually going to be the release date for the book? It certainly makes a little bit more sense, because I think if the book was actually going to release July 1st, we'd know a lot more about it. We'd have visuals. This at least means that, hey, maybe over the next couple of months, it is going to get announced. And to a certain degree, I do kind of attach this to publishing ramping up at some point this year to set the stage for Avatar Studios stuff, that this, maybe it is a tie-in book to a certain degree, but the idea that, hey, Penguin Random House is putting out original content for Avatar was always a kind of interesting, I think, point overall. So I don't necessarily take the information that, like, the book has been removed as being like the book's been cancelled or something like that. It's just a little bit unfortunate that we had information. Now we kind of reset a little bit, kind of and wait and see what actually happens with it. So just one worth noting. Not a lot of people have talked about this, but it's just that idea of if this does get swept away and we don't hear anything about it, well, we know maybe it was silently cancelled in the background, but we do have to wait and see what happens on that. I'll also quickly mention here, Dawn of Yang Chen paperback version has been slightly delayed as well. I think it went from June 24th or something like that to 3rd of July. So it's only a pretty minor release date change there, I believe. Not that it particularly matters. It is just the paperback version of Dawn of Yang Chen. So it's been adjusted by like a week. Nothing too difficult to talk about. So that's fine. And then as a recap of upcoming releases, this is actually the next release. The Omnibus Collection. Now keep in mind, it is 5 of the 6 Avatar omnibuses. It does not include Imbalance, but this is coming out on March 11th. So if you are someone getting into the comics, this is probably the best way to just overall get these 5 books, because it comes in a box. Also, I will note here, if we open this up, key selling points. Apparently it comes with a poster. There's no visuals of this, and I don't think any other place lists this as having a poster except Edelweiss. So we'll see what the situation is. I'm not going to get it because I have these books already. I have so many copies of some of these comics. I don't need another one. It'd be nice to know what the poster actually is. I doubt it's something brand new. I'm assuming it's just some sort of an edited together type thing where they've connected a lot of the stuff together, but we'll see what actually is the case there. But just be aware of that. Then, I probably should have mentioned actually this first, but on the Korra side of things, of course, let's not forget this. March 4th, 2025, finally, the Korra comic, Mystery of Pension Island, the Mako solo comic is coming out. So we are under 3 weeks away from the release of this book. We're getting close to 2 weeks to go. Finally, this book is actually going to release. At this point, I don't think it is going to be delayed again. I think the final little delay that it got that pushed it into March was just to make sure the shops had it on time. So it is actually going to release. It's going to be exciting when it finally happens. Like, we've been so deprived of Korra content. Finally, to get this book, and it's a pretty good book, is exciting. So 4th of March for that, and then of course the week afterwards the Omnibus box set comes out, and then 2 weeks after that we have the next release, which is Ashes of the Academy, one-shot number 6, of course. The May one-shot comic featuring Ki and Zuko, but it is a May-focused comic. Excellent comic. That's going to be pretty exciting. So March actually has a few book releases. It's actually a pretty packed month. With an Avatar and a Korra comic, plus a re-release type thing going on, and hopefully we'll have other information at that point. So, the only other thing to talk about here is just the next potentially big event coming up, and that is, of course, February 21st is going to be the 20-year anniversary of the franchise. 20 years of the start of ATLA. It premiered, of course, February 21st, 2005, and we're going to be 20 years later in just over a week. This is where we hope for news, because it's a really, really, really notable anniversary. Like, this is, I think it's a little bit different than some of the other ones. Like, 20 years, and especially 20 years happening in the timing where we're waiting for them to get started talking about the new upcoming stuff, that like it feels like the sort of anniversary you can't just ignore and you can't just casually mention. I think this year, just my expectations are higher for this year, so I do want there to be news. I think there should be news. Will it be about Avatar Studios? I'm not really sure, but I would like for there to be some sort of announcement that they do on the big anniversary day, whether that be, you know, in terms of non-Avatar Studios stuff like the Book 2 soundtrack. That's been sort of coming soon for a while now, and there's been no kind of clear official information. That could be something that they might want to announce on the anniversary. That would be quite exciting. if they were to maybe confirm once and for all if that upcoming Magic the Gathering set at the end of the year maybe is Avatar, you know, the anniversary would be a decent place to do it. And there's other things to do as well, but beyond that, the idea would be that, hey, why don't you use this big anniversary for ATLA, the start of the franchise, to actually highlight that, hey, we don't need to overly focus on the past because there is new stuff coming, and especially because the first project is like adult Aang, that feels really thematic if they actually do something with that, but it might just be a little bit too early. But I do think just from a general franchise perspective, it's going to feel very weird if they just give this anniversary the treatment they gave the 10-year anniversary of the end of Korra a few weeks ago. I think it just feels a little bit unacceptable in 2025 with Avatar Studios beginning in 2026. The idea that you can't just kind of do a little bit more for this big anniversary. So I do hope something happens. It's hard to predict because the first project is a movie. It means a lot of the information around it is going to be very kind of protected, released at very set times, and there's not really too much of a... They won't stray from that process really all that much. But then there's the movie marketing, but then there's also like, you actually have to announce Avatar Studios, you have to talk about the other projects that you're doing, that if we do have a series coming out in any way close to the movie, like within a year, you probably need to announce that series as being a thing that is actually happening at some point soon, just because you do tend to find out about like animated shows like a year and a half, 2 years before they come out, and we're getting into that range now. So there's announcements kind of, it feels like, across the board that we are waiting to see happen, and nothing is quite fully happening just yet. In terms of other stuff, still no real indication on when the Roku Voyage of the Unity, the RPG Kickstarter, is actually going to happen. It's been coming soon for a little bit now. I'm guessing in a couple of weeks they will actually properly launch that, but I actually have no idea when it's actually coming. Similarly, I think Avatar Legends Realms Collide is going to have an announcement pretty soon, so I think we're finally going to find out when the game's actually coming out, but other than that, we don't really have a lot of information right now. So even though it doesn't really feel like it right now, there is still a sense that like stuff is coming. Stuff is actually going to start happening, in that, like I showed here, the first proper new content release of the year is not that far away. And then the second release of the year is not going to be far away at all following up on that. Then there's a little bit to go. You know, we do have a free comic book day book this year in May, so we have that to look forward to. And by the time we're there, by the time we're in May, we should absolutely know what's going on, because, of course, the other date that we're looking for is CinemaCon, April 2nd, I think it is. That's where we, at the very least, expect there to be news, even if it's not like directly aimed at us. Some proper official information about the movie should come out, even if we don't get to see everything. So unfortunately, a lot of like, hopefully maybe this will happen in the future still, but we're getting there slowly, I think. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think the situation is with the Bending Academy book delayed, and then the listing for the book has gone? Now nowhere really has it listed. What's happening with this, the Avatar Legends kind of kids novel that is coming out at some point? What are your thoughts on a lot of the upcoming releases? We're not too far away at all. And then, do you think they will use the anniversary on February 21st as a day to do anything except a random social media post that probably doesn't celebrate the anniversary in the required way? Let me know in the comments below, but that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.